Hey guys, I am here with Christina Ortiz. We went to the same amazing law school around the same time. Really excited to have her on the podcast. She's here. She's an awesome attorney, and we're going to talk to her, get to know her. So thank you for being on the podcast. Really appreciate that.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me. It was a nice drive from Miami up here.
I bet it was a nice 2-hour hike, but you look like a badass.
It's worth it.
Your jacket is amazing. Your nails are on point. I mean, you look incredible.
Thank you.
So I'm really happy to have you here. I shaved for this and put deodorant on, so it took me a long time. Yeah. One of the things with the podcast is people get to know you, potential clients, get to understand you, where you're from. Where did you grow up? What schools did you go to? We know you went to the best law school in the country right now, FIU Law, doing amazing in the rankings. Tell us a little bit about you growing up here.
Sure. I mean, from the beginning, well, I was born in Kendall, actually it's a suburb of Miami, but yeah, that's where I drove from to get to arrive here. Yeah.
I was born in that hospital. My mom drove from South Beach to Kendall because that's where her doctor was.
There we go. Well, I was born in Hialeah Hospital. Yeah, I know. I moved on up from Hialeah to Kendall, right? No, but I was born and raised in South Florida. I went to typical Cuban background. They put me in a Catholic private school from like kindergarten.
Okay.
All the way through 12th grade. I went to an all-girl high school called Lourdes Academy in Coral Gables. So
that's a good school. That's very prominent in Miami.
Yeah, it's very popular among the elementary Catholic private school crowd, usually Hispanic, Cuban, a lot of Cubans back then. And then from there, the first time I went to what I call like a real school where I really was exposed to all different types of backgrounds and people was when I went away to college. And I'm happy to say that I went to FSU.
Okay.
I went to FSU. Obviously, that's against popular opinion here in South Florida. But I went to FSU. I loved it. It was a great experience. I learned how to be on my own. And even though I had my parents' support, living on your own, doing your own laundry, getting your car fixed alone was a great way to become independent. And then after that, talking about FIU Law, I always knew I wanted to go to law school, but I decided on FIU Law by default. I wanted to go to UM Law. They put me on the wait list, but I was OCD and I said, absolutely, I'm not going to be waitlisted. I'm not going to wait a year. I'm not going to do that 1 year of taking off. I wanted to start right away. And funny story about FIU Law, we were in the Green Library when I started. We didn't even have a building. I think I was the third or fourth incoming class. We weren't even accredited yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. When did you start?
So I started a year after you.
Were we accredited?
No. And then we got accredited like a month or two into the year, I think.
Okay.
But I was in the Green Library for 2 months.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so my entire first year, we were not accredited, and we were in the Green Library. We were just in some makeshift classrooms there.
Yeah.
But I believed in it. So the first week was completed, and that was like the orientation week. And then UM called me, and they were like, oh, by the way, we have a spot open for you. But by then, I had made my friends. I had already met the professors. The professors were fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just amazing. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna stay here. It was cheaper, obviously. I paid for my own law school.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm staying here. And it was close to my house.
Yeah.
So it worked out.
Yeah. No, those were like the glory days of FIU too.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of to be one of the first classes that was there.
Yeah. I remember walking from the Green Library. They're like, hey, let's all go over to the building. And we checked out the building together. I think they took photos outside the building or something. It was like a big day. It was like everyone was walking in like, oh my God, this building's brand new. Perfect. And I remember we all walked into the library and it was just like, this is our own like just for the law students. They're like, yeah, no undergrad is allowed. At that time, I don't know about now, but back then there was no undergrad allowed.
I'm not sure now. What I will say is I do occasionally go back to the campus, to FIU's building, the law building, to judge certain mock trial stuff. And I don't know, I find it funny. I kind of think like they're spoiled. I feel like we had like the first like the first dibs, if you will. Like we were like the pioneers there. They have a great campus, a great system. Yeah. So I'm really proud of it. I don't know. What do you think?
I've been back a couple times just to go do like a meeting or something with some of the people there, and totally different. There's a Starbucks outside. Yeah. If we wanted coffee, I think they had a coffee pot, or you had to walk all the way to the main student area. But I had such great memories at FIU Law back then. And I remember I would just go to the gym and work out and then go sit in the classroom all smelly. I didn't care. And then study all day. Like, that's all I did. Yeah. And then at night, I will be honest, I partied a lot. I graduated with, what was tuition like? Like $7,000 a year
I think
or
it was
something?
like 8. It was
grand?
something like that.
I had $100,000 in student loan debt just from law school. My undergrad, I had no debt. Law school, $100,000 with $8,000 a year. That's like $32,000, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where the $70,000 went, but definitely on South Beach and everywhere in Miami, I spent it.
Right. Did you ever do the study abroad programs?
I missed out on the study abroad because I said I have to work. So I worked part time. I worked 20 to 30 hours. After the first year, you can't work the first year. Mm-hmm. I worked 20 to 30 hours second and third year. So.
I did the study abroads. I worked also, but I would take time off to do the semesters abroad, and it was my excuse of, I'm gonna go study. I'm gonna go study abroad. But really, it was just to live in Europe. It was wonderful.
I missed out on that experience. I was kind of pissed because everyone came back and they were all buddies with each other. They had all these cool experiences, and I'm just like, why didn't I go? I don't think I was on a plane before then, like before law school. Yeah, I did not. Well,
look at that. And you just came back from Egypt, didn't you?
I just came back from Egypt. It was literally 30 plus hours of traveling. It was a nightmare.
You're still probably affected by the jet lag, no? Time difference?
I think I'm okay because I did not sleep on the 10-hour flight. Okay. I can't sleep upright. We were business class, and they had a problem with the plane, and they bumped us to economy.
Oh, no.
And I was like, oh, my God, bro, this is terrible. In business class, you get, like, a nice meal. They give you a plate with silver, like real silverware. Yeah. And then in economy,
the seat
it lays down flat, And then in economy, they're like, "Here's a sandwich," and I'm like, "What is this slop?" I'm like, "Where's?" I was like, "Get me some business." It was totally different.
We sound so relatable right now.
I know. I'm like, I don't ever want to go back to that lifestyle. My wife put me on the map with that business class. I was like, "Babe, I'll sit in the back. Put me in a little box for free. I don't care." But once you go business class, it's like
there's no going back.
There's no going back.
Yeah.
It is so amazing. But yeah, we just got back from Egypt. We had a great time.
So you know the second summer, the summer before you graduate, that's the do or die summer, I call it, where you have to clerk somewhere or you have to intern at the law firm, and at the end of that time you get your offer. It's the summer before you graduate.
Okay.
So that was for us. That was for us 2007, 2008.
Yeah, okay? I graduated the year after you, yeah.
And I remember I felt it was like a guilt about it, but I said, I'm going to be working for the rest of my life. I'm going to do a second summer abroad, which was completely unconventional and frowned upon. But guess what happened a year later? The economic crisis, and everyone who had worked that summer while I was in Florence, Italy studying, got their offers rescinded, got fired before they even started. Wow. I don't know if you remember, that's the PD's office, the state attorney's office. You were in your second year, but that's what happened in 2007, 2008. We graduated with rescinded offers. It was the beginning of the economic crisis. Everybody was firing people.
That's so crazy because I did not know any of that. I just worked at a law firm.
What type of law firm?
It was just doing PIP suits, PIP litigation, which nobody even knew what it was back then. I was just a student making like $16 an hour or something, happy that I had a job. And I didn't know anything about an economic crisis or, people getting fired. I had no clue. When I graduated, I just couldn't find a job.
Right.
So, I guess it was like better for me in a way because I didn't know anything.
Yeah, you were kind of like insulated from it. You didn't know what was happening.
Totally ignorant about any financial crisis.
I was out. We graduated. I had just passed the bar. I worked at a criminal law firm in Coral Gables, and I make a joke about this, that even the economic crisis affected drug dealers because we were representing very high-end, people in the drug industry, and they had a lot of money, but even they over-leveraged and bought a lot of property that they could not afford, and they couldn't even pay their legal bills. Okay,
no way.
We're talking like November, December of 2008. So a few months into my career, working as a full-time attorney. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? It's all over the news that no one is hiring. The unemployment rate is up. I have all this student debt from law school. How am I going to tell my parents and my grandmother that, I got fired because I did. I ended up getting fired. All the first year associates at the criminal firm got fired. I was freaking out. Within a day or two, I think it was less than 48 hours, I got called to work at and this is very popular back then, foreclosure and bankruptcy law firms. And that's where I got into all of the stuff that I still do today.
Okay.
I remember my colleagues freaking out and saying, this isn't real law. What is this? This is, pushing paper. And I was just so thankful to be employed. And I was thankful because there was so much work back then in bankruptcy and foreclosure that I didn't have to bill. which is one of the biggest nightmares of attorneys, doing billable hours.
Right.
We were doing, the firm that I was at was doing flat fees per file, per bankruptcy. We were doing 7 and 13s. I was doing short sales. I was doing real estate law and didn't even realize that I was doing real estate closings. Because it was like, I call it the ugly side. You know, people are losing their properties. No one's popping champagne at the closing table. We're negotiating these short sales. So that is how I truly started. Even though I started at a criminal firm in the Gables, I kind of say that is the beginning of how I started in 2008 at a foreclosure and bankruptcy firm.
Yeah. So do you think that if this economic crisis didn't happen, you would have been doing criminal law, or did you not really like criminal law?
Criminal law, what I would say is so entertaining, and the gossip that we had inter office was great. Yeah. But I knew I wasn't going to stay there. I knew it. It just wasn't the lifestyle that I wanted. And I don't frown upon it or judge it. I mean, my best friend, we know her, Diane, is an amazing criminal defense attorney, but she has a passion for it. Yeah. I did not. I always knew I wanted to avoid litigation, court. I still go to court nowadays, but it's light. Or I'll have a 341 meeting for bankruptcy court, but I'm not litigating. Stuff, I knew I wanted to be transactional. By nature, my personality is very, I'm type A, I'm very organized. I like deadlines. So that just goes hand in hand with closings, transactions, contracts. So yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last 18 years.
Wow. 18 years, damn. I know. I've been doing it like 16 years now, 17 years. Yeah.
We're getting to that 20-year mark.
Oof, that's
I still think of us as, remember, the term baby lawyer?
Yeah.
I still think...
I'm learning stuff every day.
Exactly. Yeah, when you were a 5-year, 3-4-4-year lawyer, I was looking at the 20-year attorneys, the 15-year attorneys, thinking like, oh, wow, they're super experienced. They must know everything. Yeah. And now I'm there, like, I'm still learning things from people even younger than me. It just depends on how much practice you have. I do the same thing over and over again, technically. Yeah. The immigration lawyers right now are going through a lot. Every day is a new rumor or a new law or a new policy change. So they have to learn every day. Yes, a new tweet. Absolutely. Those poor people.
So right now, you have all this experience. You're doing bankruptcies. You're doing real estate transactions. Anything else?
No. So I split my firm in two sides, if you will, because for the real estate law part, like I said, that's what I call the sexy side. Those are, I'm dealing with real estate agents, I'm dealing with people in mortgages, people are buying and selling homes, they're celebrating. They want to, some real estate agents think they're celebrities. It's a different ambiance, atmosphere, if you will. Yeah. Whereas I realized that then my bankruptcy clients, usually Hispanic, usually not that familiar with debt law, consumer rights, things like that, they would feel very intimidated being mixed in with that side of my firm. So I actually split up the offices. I even have different staff. Wow. It's all under the purview of Christina Ortiz, but I have kind of separated it just to make each side feel a little more comfortable.
Welcoming.
Yes, welcoming. That's a great word for it. I was having like my viejito clients, Hispanics coming into the real estate side, and they're waiting for me to finish up, a champagne, what I call like a champagne closing, and they felt intimidated and they felt like,
that's super fun. We don't do champagne closings over here.
Some people, now the younger generation doesn't drink alcohol. So
I don't drink either anymore. But we used to do scotch in the office. If we had a big case, we'd do like or a shot of tequila if we settled like a big policy limits case.
That's great.
But champagne closing sounds hella fun.
Well, people still like that, but no, now it's changing. But anyways, so that's how I separated like several years ago. It was actually my husband's idea too, to be a little more accessible to the bankruptcy community. And that's how I started. I remember back in 2008, 2009, the people that were coming to me were people that were embarrassed and felt ashamed, and so I helped them through that. I helped kind of navigate that shame process. People have a misunderstanding, this immoral idea of bankruptcy. In fact, I brought something for you actually. I
love
think you'll
gifts.
appreciate it. Yes.
I just did a video about how much I love gifts.
So take a look at it. Really.
I did.
So
cool. Whoa! Let me get that.
Yeah, look at that Baywatch.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
That was my husband's idea.
I love that. Okay.
I remember thinking like, that is the cheesiest thing I've ever seen in my life, but it works. So I give that to my leads, my clients who come. I know I gotta sign it. I'll sign it before I leave. Yeah. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's get it.
Here we go.
I want it on camera so I can it's authentic and I can authenticate it.
Yeah, it's not AI generated.
And that's a badass signature. Damn.
Look at that.
Love it. Cool.
Wow.
Thank you.
So this
Awesome.
I did probably during the COVID time when, you know, we weren't seeing clients in person. Everything was very over the phone, on video, YouTube. And I started sending that out, either email or mail, to people that were interested in bankruptcy but kind of shy or embarrassed. And actually now I just send it to people who are inquiring or through my website. But in that book, I have a chapter dedicated to all the famous people who have filed for bankruptcy.
Oh.
And who have used it as a legal tool.
You better
so know who's in there.
You better have Donald Trump's name in here.
Donald Trump is totally in there.
Okay.
How many times has he done bankruptcy?
A lot.
A lot.
Never personally, but for his businesses, he has.
Right.
Is that in the front or the back?
It's somewhere in there.
Okay.
It's one of the chapters.
Okay,
but I do have a list. I mean, look, Ford Motors, American Airlines, MC Hammer.
Hey.
Very important. Okay. So why do I share that?
You better put some different generational people, because
I know
Natalie's over here like, who the hell is MC Hammer?
Exactly.
I never heard of that guy.
Hey, you know American Airlines though. I mean, come on. But anyways, why do I do that? I do that because people tend to live bankrupt to not file bankruptcy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They live in a bankrupt mentality, making minimum payments on their credit cards, living paycheck to paycheck, paying one thing this month, and then next month I'm not going to pay this, but then I'm going to catch up next month on that. I mean, that's a miserable way to live. So I wanted to help people through that, and to realize that bankruptcy, I might sound a little biased, and this may be controversial, but bankruptcy is a legal tool. We all have the right to file for bankruptcy. It's actually a right that we all have.
Yeah.
We cannot commit any fraud on the system. We can't take advantage. But if it's a good faith filing, it can help a lot of people. And that's what I realized back in 2008, 2009, is that these people that had over leveraged themselves, they got laid off from their jobs, got sick. You know, this happened in COVID too. A lot of people got sick, got laid off. Now we're seeing a whole industries being taken out by AI. I love AI. I'm using it a lot in my law firm, but it's also taking out big industries, you know, like anything creative, anything in marketing, advertising. I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a lot of trucking companies, camioneros, that are going through it. So when there's shifts in the economy, there are going to be people who are affected, and how do I say this? It benefits our economy for people to be able to start over financially.
Okay.
If everyone in 2008 was not able to do bankruptcy, a couple years later, they weren't going to be able to buy another car, buy a house again, okay? That would have affected our economy. So bankruptcy is a legal tool, I believe, and it actually stimulates our economy when people are able to use bankruptcy in the right way, in good faith.
So you're saving the economy one bankruptcy at a time.
I think so.
I love it. One question that I get a lot of people, you know, I'm representing people who are injured in a car accident. They have all these medical bills. Maybe they can't walk again. We have a guy who's in a coma right now. 20-year-old guy who's in a coma for the rest of his life. He's a vegetable. His family's saying, hey, what do we do with this guy? He has these credit card bills. People want to know, when should they file for bankruptcy? Why should they file for bankruptcy? What's the difference if I just don't pay anything?
Okay, so
what's your response to that?
So I'm going to answer that last question first, because that's how it starts, okay? When you just ignore and stop paying, you can have anywhere between a few months to a year before you're served with a lawsuit by a creditor. And we're talking, a creditor could be your mortgage company, or a creditor could be, you know, a little Capital One credit card that's $2,000 that you just stop paying, okay? But either case, what they're looking for is that the mortgage company is going to take whatever secured, asset that you used to secure that mortgage. So it could be your house, it could be your investment property, your car. They're going to repossess it. Okay, you're going to lose that. If it's a credit card, what they're going for is what's called a garnishment. So either way, you're going to get screwed. They're going to be trying to collect against you. Okay, so when you're getting those lawsuits, it's already too late. But filing for bankruptcy before a final judgment, for example, is going to implement what's called the automatic stay. And the automatic stay is a federal protection, is that anyone or any debtor that files for bankruptcy is not allowed to be pursued or collected against by these creditors. So as far as like when to file, probably before you're facing a final judgment in any of these creditor cases. That's number one.
That's a 90-day pause, right? Is it 90 days?
It just depends. It depends, as long as we're in the process, in the bankruptcy, and it depends on what chapter that you are in. Okay, you know, you got your chapter 7, you got your 13, there's chapter 11s for businesses, so it all depends. But once you file, there is an automatic stay, and it pauses all collection activities, even lawsuits that are already being litigated in courts. Okay. Now, as far as, you know, when is the best time, and it just depends on the person. Unfortunately, most people wait until the last minute. That is just the reality. I wish it wasn't like that, but that's just the reality of these cases, that people do wait until the last minute.
Can I tell you? So I had a client, it was a doctor versus a doctor lawsuit.
Okay.
You owe me money, you didn't pay me. The other doctor's like, I paid you what you were supposed to get paid. Your expectations are out of control. So they sued each other, and this went on for 2 years. Depositions, back and forth, name calling, whatever. The day of the trial, I don't go. We had gotten off of the case like 30 days before, and the judge is calling me, where's the guy at? I got you off the case, but like, you got to call the guy. The trial's today. Where is he? So here's his cell phone, the doctor's cell phone number. They call the doctor, the judge calls the doctor. Doctor, there's a trial right now. You're not here. What is going on? He goes, well, I'm talking to my attorney right now. I'm here in his office. He goes, what attorney? You don't have an attorney? He goes, yeah, I just filed for bankruptcy. And the judge is like, I'm out of here. I'm going golfing. And the attorney who filed that lawsuit against my doctor was so pissed.
Yeah.
Because she was thinking she was going to get $1 million on this case. And he literally waited till the day of the trial. And I told him, I was like, dude, you should file. Like, why are you waiting so long? And he waited, dragged it out for literally 2 years. So I get the procrastination from people, but that really, like, that lawyer who filed that lawsuit on a contingency,
I feel for her,
is traumatized.
Absolutely,
gotta be.
Yes, yeah. and perhaps later on in the case, she could have maybe claimed like bad faith or something, or because when you are in bankruptcy, the any creditor or creditor's lawyer can submit to the judge to reopen a claim or to relief from the automatic stay. That does happen if there's a repetitive filer. Right now I'm representing someone that's done repeated filings.
Wow.
This time around, I am taking their word for it that this is a good faith filing, but because of the pattern, they are deemed what's called like a robo-filer, repetitive filer, bad faith filer, just to stop a foreclosure sale. Like the day of the morning of a foreclosure sale, that your house is, you get the little notice of suggestion of bankruptcy, that'll stop the sale.
Okay.
And it looks ugly. It looks bad faith. So that could happen too.
Okay. I've been hearing that a lot of truckers right now are having a tough time getting jobs, getting work. There's too many people that are trucking. Other states have truckers coming in here and stuff like that. And a lot of them that live on the west coast of Florida where it's cheap are now moving back to Miami because there's no jobs over there for them. So they're moving to Miami where there's jobs. What are you hearing from the truckers, camioneros? What are you hearing from them?
So that's an interesting topic because I've actually, within my niche of Hispanic clients in South Florida, a big percentage of my bankruptcy clients are camioneros, are truckers. There's a lot of things that are happening. Not only is there a lot of competition, there aren't any jobs. I don't know the details of why the demand has fallen so much, but there's a lot of competition. There isn't work. And the maintenance, the operating costs of having a truck, I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's very high. When something breaks in your truck, or when the fuel, the maintenance, paying the people, obviously the liability is high. So people, camioneros have been going through it for at least 2 or 3 years. I've seen a significant uptick in my trucking clients. Another thing, a lot of trucking clients opened up or took out an SBA loan back in 2020 and 2021. Okay. An SBA loan is a government loan. And when there was a lot of forgiveness, there was like 2 years, a year that you didn't have to pay it. But when those things became due, those SBA loans, those EIDL loans, I'm not talking about the PPP loans that got forgiven. I'm talking about the EIDL loans that you have to pay back.
Right.
When those became due, the economy for the truckers went down and they were not able to pay those EIDL loans. Well, the EIDL loan, if you don't pay it, is then kicked off to the Department of Treasury. And you don't play with the Department of Treasury. They're adding on penalties, and it gets very expensive. So a lot of my trucking clients took out EIDL loans, can't pay it, and they're being pursued by the Department of Treasury, which is basically like the IRS, okay? And they're very difficult to discharge because when I get to the bankruptcy hearing, I always warn my clients who took out the SBA EIDL loans, you're going to be asked under oath what you did with those funds. And it better have been to support your business, pay payroll, pay your taxes, things like that for your business. Not for personal reasons like buying your girlfriend a car or plastic surgery or getting in your family across the border from Cuba, which happened a lot. I have a lot of clients that you know, I can't say that they did or didn't do it, but I'm just saying I've had to deal with that. And I always warn people that, you know, under oath, and this is affecting the camioneros a lot, the truckers, that the EIDL loans caught up with them.
They were making a crazy amount of money during COVID, right after COVID.
Amazing. And that's what happened. They relied on that cash flow, and they were supporting their whole family.
Right.
That's what happened.
And their cousins and stuff. Everybody. It was. I remember. I'm like,
they were making
that
a lot
guy's
of money.
making as much money as a 5-year attorney.
Absolutely.
It's like, but you know, they earned it. They worked and drove, you know, stuff. I get it, but I guess now it's just more competition and maybe with the imports,
less work, high maintenance, operating costs are high.
Thinking of the tariffs is what I was thinking of. Yeah. Okay, so if somebody does take out an SBA loan, an EIDL loan, can they can get that discharged in a bankruptcy
under a certain amount. So what I have seen is that if it was an amount under $200,000. We would notify the SBA as a creditor on the bankruptcy, and they have been discharged. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It is a government loan, and off the bat, it's shown as it's not dischargeable. Okay. But the certain loans under a certain amount that was lent was not secured, so it's considered unsecured debt. So some of these bankruptcy cases, the SBA loans are being discharged.
Okay. And then I have a weird question for you, just side question. Can somebody put in a contract that they will not be able to discharge a debt in the contract? Is that?
So I have seen that, you know, for example, on a loan, there'll be a personal guarantee. And I'm not talking about like a mortgage loan. I'm talking about like I lend you money because you need money for or whatever. And like we're like distant family members or cousins or something. And of course, those things always go bad, right?
Every time.
And you do a personal guarantee. Well, if you file a personal bankruptcy, I'm going to put, as your attorney, I'm going to put it in there as like your primo is a creditor, okay? And technically, I can discharge it because you're not the government and you're not secured. You didn't secure it with any asset. So I could discharge it. Now, the creditors, the person who lent you the money, their attorney is gonna probably do like, you know, intervene somehow in the bankruptcy and then go before the judge and the trustees, you know, asking for relief, saying, hey, look, here's this contract. And usually the debtor wins, though. The debtor can't discharge it.
Usually. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because that's what I heard. But a lot of times...
they still try because you want to feel more secure, but...
Okay.
If you file for bankruptcy, it's going to get discharged.
9 times out of 10, it's a discharge. Okay. It's interesting because with some of these insurance companies, they're suing doctors and their clinic, and they're able to sue the person because the doctor's signing the bill and the clinic, the business that's putting out the bills, and they're suing them both. And then in the contracts, like a 30-page contract, hey, we're settled, give us X amount of money, and we'll let it go. The insurance company just wants the money back. And in that contract, it says you agree that this debt cannot be discharged in a bankruptcy. And I've heard that that's totally, like, you could put it, but it's going to get discharged. So you think 9 times out of 10 it's going to get discharged.
Yes.
But it probably gives the insurance company a little bit of weight in the courtroom and the bankruptcy to push for
absolutely.
it. Okay.
And I want to add something about, you know, that those specific cases, especially with what you do for a living. You can put this creditor or this person suing you, let's just say for an injury case, or maybe you're a doctor and you're being accused of malpractice or something, right? You can list that case that you're being sued for as a debt to be discharged in the bankruptcy. However, there's exceptions. If you are found guilty of anything like severe malpractice, negligence, something where you were truly at fault, you cannot discharge that debt.
Okay.
So it's tricky.
Okay. So there's always going to be little exceptions.
Right.
I got you. So you brought up AI, and I love everybody's talking about AI in the workplace. How do you use it?
I started using AI in the workplace, honestly, in how to respond to clients, how to manage their psychological expectations, and because I have a particular personality. My legal assistant has another personality, and every client is different. Their personalities are different. Their ideologies, their cultures, right? So I started using AI as just like, how do I freaking respond to this email or whatever, So I've used it a lot to manage client expectations and communication. The second way I've used it, of course, we are bound by the parameters of what the Florida bar allows us to do, okay? We cannot use AI to give blatant legal advice, okay, to just put it in there and like spit out a text to a client, okay. I even advise my staff of that. But what happens, we get a lot of repetitive questions from leads and from clients. So within my office, within my staff, I use AI. My husband created a chat, like a...
This husband sounds amazing. I love this guy.
I'm very in the ice age. He's the one always pushing me.
The AI.
So he's the one, and before anyone was doing it, I'm not saying he was like a pioneer, but I remember being like, this is ridiculous. But like about a year and a half ago, he created, I guess like a chat bot that was like me.
Okay.
And what I would always tell my staff is, please like don't call me every 20 minutes with like a question that we've already, So this was a way for my staff to get guidance on certain things, on certain like procedural things, without bothering me. More efficient. I'm also using AI now to help me a lot with marketing ideas, not actual marketing. I still have like a marketing team, but ideas, ways, to, for example, I did a whole campaign for truckers. Okay, what are the truckers in Florida really worried about? What are they stressed about? I also did a campaign for Uber drivers. I used AI for ideas on how to do campaigns, to talk about in my videos, things like that.
Okay, I love that. One, your husband sounds awesome. I love this guy. Two, that I think what he created is called an AI agent, and I just made one. It's basically like your own. We used Microsoft Teams for it, and it's to do specific tasks in our office. We give it the parameters and tell it, hey, this is the rule. If somebody asks this question, do that. But I haven't done that, what you've done. I've done it for something else in our office. To help calculate the amount that a doctor is really owed, not what the insurance company says owed. But I love that idea.
Did you have someone in-house create that agent, or you hired someone? Your boy. You did it. You see, that's like my husband.
But my IT guy showed me how to do it, and then I was like, oh, I could do this.
And you're the one putting in the workflow, the steps.
So I put in the dollar amounts that the doctor's supposed to be paid for certain procedures, and gave it the 10 different rules that you would follow. So basically, it's an employee, is what I found out. I give it the spreadsheet. I say that if a doctor bills this is what it's supposed. This is what the doctor's supposed to be paid. And then I give it the rules, and it makes mistakes. But I have to, when I notice it makes a mistake, I say, hey, you forgot to follow rule number 2. What are you doing? And it's like, oh, I'm so sorry.
So it starts learning though.
And then it doesn't make that mistake again. So it's not perfect yet. What I'm using. And then it's just really cool. I added, so one of the things that I do is I represent doctors when they get sued by the insurance company. And I made a library of 100 different lawsuits where they got sued. And I uploaded each PDF to the agent. And I say, hey, what doctor got sued for billing this type of procedure? And it'll go in, it'll read all 100 documents. And in a minute, it'll tell me, here's the case number, here's the name of the doctors that got sued, here's what they each did in that lawsuit. And you're yourself or someone, one of your legal assistants or something is actually going into that case to make sure it's legit and it's accurate and all that. Yes. Correct. Because it has the AI hallucinations and blah, blah, blah. And I think now, well, you do federal stuff mostly, but in the state courts now, I think in Dade County, you have to have a certificate of AI use if you used it. You have to certify that you double checked it, and I think Broward County did that too now. So pretty interesting. I love the AI for market. Go ahead. I mean, I use AI. I'm very transparent. I do use AI to get ideas about. Say, I have this client. This is the case facts. I want to argue this. These are the reasons why I want to argue this. Like, what cases are similar to this? I will then go and research those cases to make sure that, first of all, they're legitimate and they are in line with what I want to argue. Yeah. So it's a very interesting line. People are talking about it. I know people have been like not blacklisted, but there was like a list that came out a few months ago from a court naming all these attorneys that it was a list of attorneys who erroneously cited to non-existent cases that they got from AI. I got fake cases from AI that I asked it to give me a paragraph for a motion that we were filing, and it gave me a fake case. That's so scary. And I was like, I was like, I'm not familiar with this case. Can you double check it? And it wasn't a real case. I said, I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. That's not a real case. And I'm thinking, what? But there was actually a law firm with an international law firm. They just got in trouble with a federal case. The judge was like, this is a fake case that you cited in this motion, this is, think tier 1 law firm, like top 5 in the world. They're one of them. And it just came out in the news. They publicly apologized, saying that they have protocols, but it wasn't followed. And, of course, backstepping their way out of the mess and PR. Blaming the paralegal, right? But they definitely used AI. Are you paying for AI or using the free version?
Depends. I'm paying for ChatGPT.
Okay.
I started paying a while ago, whatever the basic one is. Claude, I'm paying for but that's more. I'm using Claude more for more like systems. Okay. For example, on my real estate side, I'm starting to. We're still in the putting in the workflow phase, like the steps. What happens when we get a contract? Let's start looking at the deadlines. When is the escrow deposit due? When's the inspection period done? I either have a transaction coordinator or staff that does that. So now I'm putting that in as steps into Claude. So right now, Grok I'm using for free. Claude I'm paying for. ChatGPT I'm paying for. I don't know much about Gemini. I haven't used that one.
Google Gemini, I haven't used that yet either. Yeah.
But I heard that was really good for actually like graphics and visual things. Am I right?
Okay. We're getting a head nod from Dennis.
Exactly, approval. Okay. So that is what I heard. But I like what he was mentioning, that there's one that all of them all together can be used at the same time. Yeah.
So like I personally, we use Copilot in our office. We have an amazing IT guy, and he said, Abe, you have to be careful with the data that you use, because if you use an unpaid version for client information, it can take that data and make it public somehow, shareable or whatever, and they sell the data, and I was like, oh, thank God we have this dude telling us that. So if you're a law firm owner and you're using a bunch of, like we do a lot of medical records, we don't want that stuff on somebody's data selling stuff,
At some point, though, I think that, for example, what were we all doing when it first came out? We didn't know that it was public. We didn't know. So... Right. I feel like it was an innocent time.
Yeah.
So if there were times that any of us, including me, did, how did we know?
Right.
So
it's funny you bring
happen.
That up. There was a settlement just now with Samsung and LG TVs. Every 15 seconds, it would take a screenshot of whatever was on your TV, and it would sell that data to these companies that want to know. No, and that's why TVs are so cheap these days, relatively cheap, is because, we got like a 8K TV, it's like 90 inches big, and I'm like, how the hell is this thing under $1,000? Right. And it's because they actually make more money selling your data, and it's every 15 seconds, and people are like, whatever, man, I'm watching TV. Well, it's not just that, I'm watching YouTube. Okay, fine. I use a TV for my monitor, for my work emails. It has all of my private client emails now, a screenshot that I never agreed to.
Right.
And they're selling that data with maybe social security number, maybe people's names.
Idea. That's scary.
So it just came out with a big lawsuit about that. They just settled it. I don't know when the lawsuit came out, but it was just settled. So there's all these things with technology that as things come out, you're like, wait a second, Instagram, right? Nobody thought it was that addictive until they started taking depositions of doctors that worked at Instagram. And they're like, oh, no, we made it that way on purpose so that you would be addicted to it.
My own children I would not let my own children on it.
I had to delete Instagram and put it on. That's the backup phone over there. It's an old phone. My son goes, Dad, why do you have a second phone? Are you cheating on Mom? I'm like, dude, it's the Instagram phone, bro. Calm down. Yeah. He's like, can I tell Mom? I was like, you can tell Mom. It's okay. It's like, she knows about it. Funny. But I had to put it on there because I was watching it for hours a day to like comments, share, like for work stuff, So it's pretty crazy how technology evolves so quickly, what you're talking about. So any other uses for AI that you think other lawyers might want to, like in bankruptcy, do you guys have to calculate stuff? Is it a lot of like math in bankruptcy sometimes?
No, not a lot of math. Okay. No, I would say the software does a lot of the calculations to know if a client is going to qualify, because you do have to qualify for bankruptcy. It's not automatic. So we do have to calculate your income. And people in South Florida have all funky incomes. They don't consider Zells from their, cousin as income, but it is, under bankruptcy, any deposits, any side hustles, that's income in addition to your regular job.
Yeah.
So I learned, though, and someone told me maybe we could get the expert to head nod over here, that AI right now is not reliable for calculations, for math, for calculating interest. The other day, I actually tried to use AI, one of the ChatGPTs, to calculate penalties. It was interest that were accumulated for some state taxes on the closing, and it calculated it wrong. So I don't think it's up there yet. I don't think it's there yet. What are we? Am I right? It's not. Exactly.
It's not perfect, because I'll tell you, on the AI agent where it tells me exactly how much a doctor is supposed to be paid, it's not always perfect. And I'll ask it, and I'll tell it, I'll say, hey, you did the math wrong on this. How did you arrive at this number? And then it's like, so AI apparently is very people-pleasing. It wants to make you happy. So it says, you're absolutely right about everything that you say it. And I'm like, I just want the truth, man. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. Can you just tell me? And it will mess up on 1 out of 5, which is kind of annoying, but it's an employee. Like, employees make mistakes too. And I think in a year, it'll be totally different from where it was. So I'm hoping for that.
I would say right now, the most value I'm getting from AI, believe it or not, is in the marketing. I am being very specific. Like, I wanted to enter a new market in Florida, and I wanted to know about that demographic. And not only the demographic, but the age range. Do they have kids? Do they not? How many people? What are the type of jobs these people have in? I was looking at like Stanford, Orlando, Jacksonville. I was looking in different, where my marketing dollars would go further.
Geographic market.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And okay, great. Now we determine this. Now what are those? This is data that they bought and are selling now to me. But like, okay, what type of jobs do they have? What are the biggest stresses? Do they have credit? Do they not? How long have they been in this country? So that, and then based on that, it's like, okay, well, what's a good YouTube video I can do for this demographic? That is how I see like it's becoming easier. Before, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I'd have to sit with my marketing team, and we'd have to do like a strategy and what do we talk about and writing a script. And now I'm using AI a lot for that.
Okay.
Going back to the calculations, on the real estate side, what is for me very challenging and annoying, I'm just going to call it annoying, is we have to do as a title company reconciliations every month, okay, with our trust account.
Okay.
That I'm still relying on a bookkeeper or an in-house person to do my reconciliations that, for compliance reasons, comply with my underwriter, okay? I really wish AI was already there, but it's not. We can't rely on AI yet to do reconciliations. It's what's called a 3-way reconciliation between our bank account and like my trust ledgers and the real estate closings, and issue the checks. That annoying part.
So you're not short in your trust account.
Correct. And we'd be in a lot of trouble. Oof. I still have to rely a lot on an accountant and bookkeeper. And I would love to replace that. Sorry, accountants, but I really need AI to catch up with that.
I got a question for you about that. Do you guys use QuickBooks in your? You have to use QuickBooks.
Part of QuickBooks, but it's usually a title attorney or title company has a software that they're using for their closings. Okay. And QuickBooks is integrated into that.
Okay, so I know Claude was allegedly going to put QuickBooks out of business. They said, hey, we're going to offer free tax returns for anybody that wants to use our service. Obviously, free. Whenever a tech company gives you something for free, think they're selling your data and making billions off of it. Yeah. So they want you to
We're learning that now.
Yeah.
We didn't know that even a year ago, 2 years ago.
You know? Yeah. So now Claude said, hey, we're going to do tax returns for free. They're going to get social securities, names, job titles, who makes this much money, who makes this much money. That's important for advertisers. And QuickBooks said, hey, please don't do that. Why don't we do a partnership and we'll use Claude with QuickBooks? So they just announced this a couple weeks ago. So maybe there'll be some kind of thing with that. But we use Salesforce personally at our law office. We don't use Litify. Litify is built on Salesforce. We use Salesforce Direct. It's way cheaper licenses. But I'm at a disadvantage from somebody who uses I think Clio. They have a built-in AI that does not only the Clio, I heard, that does the legal research, but let's say they have like this title company software that you use. If they come out with their own AI to help the users, I think it's going to happen. Yeah, they're going to.
It's just a matter of time, but I'm waiting for it.
Light years ahead of the competition, because there's so many legal softwares out there, but the AI is going to change. It's going to eliminate jobs in the law office, but they'll be more efficient law offices, it's funny. I had a case manager tell me, Abe, I don't want to participate in this stuff that you're doing because I'm worried you're going to replace case managers with AI. And I go, listen, this is a law firm. Like, I want people to talk to somebody in the office, not an AI voice, maybe 50 years from now, that's the norm. You call up, you get AI Abe, and he tells you, oh, this is blah, 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 but I'm not going to be there. But maybe another generation will say that's good, and at that time maybe it will be. But
it's generational. Yeah. It's like right now we're playing on that vague line where some people expect the AI. Like for example, a few years ago, I stopped being open on the weekends. I said I'm cutting my receptionist on the weekends because I wanted somebody available all the time, just to even pick up the phone, catch the leads that call on a Saturday after hours. And a few years ago, I said, you know what, let's keep traditional hours. We're a law firm. We don't have to be open on the weekends. That was just a decision that I made, okay? Yeah. Because people did want the one-to-one person, okay? Now, because of AI and because my competition does have an agent pretending to answer the phone, and you get to I call them questions 4 or 5, and you already know you're dealing with AI, but they're so good right now that the first couple of questions, you think you're talking to a receptionist from my office. Okay. So I'm going to be incorporating back an agent just to pick up calls and get the person's information after hours and on weekends. So you're going to have I call them my viejito clients that are going to hang up right away. They don't want to talk to a robot. Yeah. But then you're going to talk to somebody younger, or somebody younger who wants to be Christina's not available right now, but tomorrow, give me we have 9, 10, 11 a.m. When would you like to be called by Cristina tomorrow? Oh, 10 a.m. Perfect. Okay. And they're in. We have their information. We locked in their info. I'm calling them the next morning. We captured them. Okay. Yeah. So it just depends on who is calling. So you just have to be ready for all of them because we're in a weird time. We are in a weird place. And it's crazy how all of these movies came out about AI. And I don't even think AI, just robotics, the Terminator, all this stuff, they're post-apocalyptic worlds, and I go, oh my gosh, they figured it out. That no one's gonna have a job in 20 years. We just rewatched with my husband and stepkids RoboCop. Oh, RoboCop, yeah, the original. The original one. Okay, that was a badass movie. And we're watching. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at Tesla making our military. Is it Tesla making them? The robots? The robots. They're going to be our military. I just saw in the news, I was at the airport for hours because the flight got delayed, and I was reading the news and on my phone, and Ukraine won its first battle using robots and drones against Russia. It was 0 humans. It was all drones and even robots. And I'm like, we're screwed. That's the Terminator movie. The robots fighting the humans, except it's Ukraine versus Russia. So I have a question for you, because in the personal injury, torts, liability type of stuff, this is going to open up a whole area of law, in my opinion. I've heard of people, I don't want to buy a Tesla. I'm actually looking into getting a Tesla shortly, but I've heard of people getting stuck in the Teslas. Yeah. The self-automated cars, there's going to be glitches, right? So I do, I have a Cybertruck. I had the Model X before that. I had the Model Y before that. The Model Y, you could only drive self-driving on the highway. And it was if you're going a long distance, you just put it and it stays in the same lane and it speeds up or slows down. And it'll change lanes if you want it to, but that's all not on the city. When I got the Model X, they came out with some updates, better cameras, better technology on the back end that we wouldn't know about. And it's able to turn left and right. And I was like, wow, okay, I'll use it here and there for let's say a long trip to Orlando, Now the Cybertruck, it has the best cameras, the AI is way better, and I literally type in my address as soon as I get in the car, I hit drive, and it'll back up out of the spot, it'll drive me home. In Miami, you got to be aggressive. So it's not the best in Miami because you got to speed up and cut in. Otherwise, you won't get in you'll miss your exit, So the Teslas is still nice. They don't have They're Elon, nice. They're courteous. They're very courteous, very professional, very safe. When it changes lanes, it is a safe lane change. But they have different modes. So one's chill, one is hurry, one is standard, and then one is Mad Max, which is Mad Max will cut people off. That's a mode? That's a mode. Total liability lawsuit for that name. Yeah. I'm thinking they need a Miami mode where it just cuts people off just to see it, just to let them know that you're there. You just cut them off with no blinker. But when you guys go to conferences, aren't they talking about this in the injury world? Yeah, they're saying there's going to be no accidents in 20, 30 years. There's going to be 0 car accidents. No accidents. I actually thought it was going to be the opposite. There are going to be... If there's an accident... But someone is going to be able to sue Tesla for a glitch in the software. Yeah, or it's gonna happen. Or a robot attacking me in my house when I hired it to be my do my dry cleaning. I don't know.
For sure, yeah. They've been saying that, and the self-driving has, what I'm getting at is the self-driving has gotten so much better than it was 5 years ago. Because I started driving in 2020 when the pandemic hit is when I got a Tesla. And so in the last 5-6 years, it's gotten way better. There are glitches. I'll be going on the highway 70 miles an hour, and it'll think there's a car in front of me all of a sudden, and it'll just go to 40. It'll slam on the brakes. I'm like, what the hell just happened? They have all sorts of disclaimers on there too, like you have to pay attention, whatever. I don't know if that absolves them of all liability, but who's going to sue Tesla for like a minor damage accident? My neck hurts. No one's going to sue $1 trillion company. No, it's going to be a catastrophic loss.
It's
going to be big stuff. But there's so many cars out on the road right now that don't have self-driving. My wife got the Escalade. Their self-driving is trash. I hate it. It's not intuitive at all. Like Tesla, you push a button and it'll drive. This one, you gotta touch a button here, like push a button over here, type in a special code, and then it'll do it. And it only works on the highway right now.
I see.
So they're years behind whatever Tesla's got. But I think in 20, 30 years, like my kid probably doesn't need to learn how to drive. He's 11 now. He's going to turn 12.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to learn how to drive. If he takes my Cybertruck and he puts in the address and he just sits there and he looks forward, it has a camera. He'll get to where he needs to go, no problem. No problem. I would guarantee it. So
and you feel safe. Like
I
putting
feel
your kid
safe
in
with
a,
him.
in a Tesla.
For sure. Yeah, it's that safe. I could just throw him in there. So what made you want to become an attorney?
Well, what made me want to become an attorney, funny story, I was in elementary school and I hated math. I mean, we're talking like struggling, the stress. I think I was like in 3rd or 4th grade. I remember just frustrated asking my mom, what do I got to do to never do math? And she was just like, be a lawyer. And that was like her like very, flippant answer. And I was like, okay, whatever it takes to not do math. Now I do math all the time. I look at numbers with my real estate closings, even in the bankruptcy stuff, I'm looking at calculations. Yeah. But that stuck in me. I also like the fact that, imposter syndrome behind the scenes is that I like that law school was going to give me 3 years more. Like I did the 3-year full-time student thing. So after college, I didn't have to know what I wanted to do. I used law school as like my mask to be like, oh, I'm going to go to law school. But it's really because I didn't know what the heck I wanted to do or where I wanted to work. So
what did you graduate undergrad with?
Business and marketing. Okay. I wanted something not law related just in case the law thing didn't work out. So, a lot of my colleagues did, pre-law studies or political science. Those were like the things that you studied before going to law school. Right. I decided to just do business just in case, which is fine because that was allowed for law school. But that's what I did. I graduated FSU with the College of Business. And I liked it. It was great. Yeah. And then from there I went to law school. So what I liked is that law school gave me more time to figure it out. Okay.
Yeah.
What I will say as far as like my career is concerned, that was kind of like I was a sign of the times. I got thrown into the bankruptcy and foreclosure world doing real estate closings, and that's just what I kept doing because it's what I knew.
Right.
So and it's fine.
PIP suits.
Yeah.
I'm like, people are like, why do you do PIP suits? I'm like, it's that movie, An Officer and a Gentleman. I got nowhere else to go, where he's doing push-ups in the rain. He's like, why are you still here? He's like, I got nowhere else to go, man. This is what I do.
Yeah.
So because PIP suits is kind of on its way out. There used to be attorney's fees, so I could sue for $5.
Yeah.
They short paid a doctor $5. I can get $3,000 in attorney's fees, just like that. They got rid of that, so now we're doing it a different way. But
that's starting to. Because I think that was passed 2 years ago.
In 2023, it was passed. Okay. Yeah. So this is actually the 3rd year. March 25th, 2023 was like the Valentine's Day massacre. It was like pretty close. I think when I was in law school, I read a statistic like, hey, whatever job you get, make sure that you enjoy it, because your first job as a lawyer will 99% be your career.
Perhaps. And that could happen, yeah.
Yeah. But you started with criminal but switched. But
I knew that was, the criminal thing was just something that I started in law school. I was actually a certified legal intern at the state attorney's office. I don't know if they still allow that, but did you ever hear of the CLIs?
Yeah, I was a CLI for
a semester.
For 1 semester.
Right?
Yeah.
And okay, so during law school, my third year, my last year, I was a CLI at the state attorney's office. I liked who I worked with, so this isn't a personal thing. It's just I hated it. I did not want to be in a criminal courtroom. But because of that, then I landed, an internship during law school with a criminal attorney. So that's why I worked there. But I knew that was not going to be permanent. And then I got thrown into the foreclosure and bankruptcy world, which, yes, dude, we had to go to court, but it is a lot of transactions. It's the same thing over and over again. Yeah. And I loved it. I loved that repetitive stuff. Some of my best friends were saying like, oh my gosh, we're not real lawyers. We're just, pushing paper around. And I was like, well, I'm fine with that. I was very comfortable. It was very exciting. I mean, do you remember the movie The Big Short?
I saw that.
It's a great movie. Okay. That reminds me of my first year as an attorney, okay? Because our courtrooms were lined with Dateline, 2020, Inside all of CNN, all of these people, because we were ground zero. South Florida was ground zero. Miami-Dade and Broward County was ground zero for the economic crisis, okay? Yeah. And it is true. Like the lady that works in the Ventanita selling coffee had 7 properties. The strippers that had no taxable income, just cash, had multiple properties. Yeah. That is all true. I mean, they were my clients, okay? Yeah. But then you also had the doctors and the drug dealers and the dentists who made a lot of money and still over-leveraged. And they just kept selling and selling these empty mortgages, and that's what happened.
It was these no-doc loans, I think is what they were called. Like you didn't need any proof of income. They were just like, you make $1 million a year, here's a house. Yeah. And here's a mortgage for a house. And because people were flipping them and making money off of that, and whoever was
you could pay off your appraiser to say that your house was valued more, so then you can take out the equity. Yeah. That's all that kickback stuff was happening. Now it's all changed. So now I go to a closing, and the loan package is like 80 to 100 pages, and the lender 3 days before had to give the final numbers. Back then, I could get to the closing table, and even me as a title attorney, a lot of attorneys were just barred back then because they were doing some nasty stuff. They could show up to the closing table, and I could say, oh, well, now my fee is, $5,000 because I had to, you'd make something up. Okay. But now, because of truth in lending laws that was passed around that time, because of that time, now you need to fully disclose. I mean, if all of us in this room if you've bought a property with a loan, you're disclosed a lot. You're given all these disclosures, these things that you have to sign, because now you can't claim anymore that you didn't know you were signing. I had no income. They weren't even looking at my tax returns. Now they're looking at everything. Okay, and that's why these closings are taking so long. And you're with an 80 to 100 page loan package. So that's a lot of that stuff has been cleaned up. We are seeing like an uptick in more creative mortgages, just because it's a sign of the times and a sign of the area too. South Florida, we're very entrepreneurial. We don't have traditional. It's not common to have a traditional W-2 borrower. We all have like side hustles. We all have our own businesses, our own LLCs, things like that. So I am seeing a change in that. What's good about South Florida as far as like the real estate is concerned is that we, in whatever crisis is happening, we still are a favorable market to even foreigners. So whatever is happening, we are, I guess, a favored region or city in comparison to the rest of the country.
For sure. Yeah. Too much so. It's like property values here, which as a homeowner, I love it. My property values went up. But I feel bad for people who, like when I graduated, it was already the financial crisis. So I was like, man, I could afford this. I could afford that. Now people are like, I can't afford this. They're going to be stuck financially behind because everybody wants to move to Florida because there's no taxes and this and that and blah, blah, blah.
Well, natives of Miami that are now in the workforce, they're in their late 20s, early 30s, I'm seeing two things. One, they just gave up on buying. They're just going to be renting. They make good money, but not enough to buy a single family home in South Florida is very expensive. Yeah. So they're just saying, you know what, we're going to rent, we're going to travel, we're going to put our money in other investments, but they gave up on buying. Or what I've seen, which is very common, and maybe like 10 years ago, it was like, oh, your mom and dad helped you. And, nobody talked about it. I am seeing adults, like people our age, their parents are helping them with down payments, are helping them buy because they need the help. And we're talking even people that make good money. Yeah. So it's just changed what we see at the closing table.
So let me ask you a question. I know that a lot of times real estate agents will also own a closing company. And I'm like, wait a second, that's not owned by a lawyer. How are they doing these closings? What are some things that, let's say I'm a real estate agent and I have my buddy who does closings, but he's not a lawyer. And what would you tell them is the distinction between a law office versus using somebody who has a company to do closings?
I want to start off by saying that Florida is a state that you do not have to be an attorney to do closings. So I have colleagues that are great. They're very professional. They're very thorough, who are not attorneys and have title companies. But the biggest distinction I see is that once there is a conflict, someone hasn't, hit one of their obligations, maybe there's something wrong with title, and it goes beyond what a title company can do, then now everything stops and the parties have to hire an attorney. They have to go look for an attorney, pay for an attorney. Your client's probably going to be upset because they're like, what do you mean? I thought the title company was handling it, and now I have to go get a lawyer. Whereas if when you use an attorney-owned title company, we legally can send, demand letters, legal memorandums, like, hey, we see what's coming up on the horizon. Like, hey, guys, if this doesn't get settled, or if we don't work this out, this is the type of litigation we're looking at. I had recently a situation where there was a person who had passed away. Okay, that's a probate issue. A title company,
like a buyer or seller passed away.
One of the sellers had passed away.
Okay.
Now there's an administration of the estate has to happen. There's some probate documents that need to be done. A title company cannot do that. That'd be the legal practice of law. And attorney-owned title companies, it's more in-house. Most of us won't charge more to do these legal documents because we're already collecting a fee from the closing. Okay. Another thing that I'm seeing in South Florida is, believe it or not, this is like a myth buster is what I'm doing right now. Some people think, well, I'm not going to use an attorney-owned title company because they're going to be more expensive. Heck, no. I'm looking at these closing statements from title companies. They're charging more than what I and some of my colleagues who are attorneys who own title companies charge. So I think the biggest advantage, if I'm buying or selling a property, I want an attorney-owned title company representing me, because then I won't have to go to another law firm when something happens, or when I have a question or issue or a conflict.
Yeah.
In Florida, we have a lot going on in these closings. We're going to have permits, we're going to have code violations, we're going to have lien releases that need to be done, and all of that can turn into legal work very quickly. And I don't want my closing to be delayed because now I have to go look for an attorney to step in midway. That's something else. Something that I don't like as an attorney is I'll have a real estate agent call me for a closing, and I'm thinking they got me on in the beginning. No, I'm coming in now in the middle or the end to clean up what the title company should have done 30 days ago. That happens a lot. So my suggestion, buyers and sellers, always use an attorney-owned title company.
Okay, so it's more or less the same price, maybe even less money.
Correct.
And you have a certain level of guarantee that it's going to get done because there's a lawyer involved.
It'll be resolved.
Anybody could, my front desk person here in the law office could open up a title company tomorrow, even though they've never done a title closing. They could open up a business, right?
Remember, our license, our bar license is always on the line, right? Title companies, those are fly-by-night. You could open and close one. They have a bond, I think, that they have to post, but
I'm sure they pay.
If they mess up, there aren't as significant consequences if you and I mess up.
Right.
So that's also something that I use as leverage sometimes. I tell my client, I'm like, if I mess up, or if I do, if I miss something on the title commitment, you can sue me, and that's my license is on the line. So we have more leverage. We have more to lose. Yeah. Let's just say that. Yeah. So that's what I also bring up.
The worst thing that could ever happen to a lawyer is losing their license, because it's, in a way, it's a license to steal. I mean, I just saw there was a $10 million settlement for some class action. The lawyers are getting $7 million. And then if somebody puts in a claim, they can get up to $100 each. And I'm thinking, wait a second, that should be reversed. It should be $3 million in fees and $7 million for the consumers.
Right.
I don't know all the behind the scenes stuff about how long it took. Did it take 20 years, 1 year? But a lawyer losing a license is life altering. Yes, so, definitely a non-attorney can just open and close an agency. So, okay, good to know. Can you just briefly tell us, for a viewer out there, what's the difference between foreclosure and bankruptcy? Because somebody was asking earlier what the difference was. So
yeah, sure. So foreclosure is its own civil action. You as a homeowner or a property owner are actually being sued by the mortgage company that you owe money to for not making payments. It usually happens in like 6 months, a year after not paying. They've sent you the notice to cure. They've sent you all the collection letters. And what is securing that mortgage? What asset? It's your home or your property. So this foreclosure action is what a creditor, the mortgage company, has to go through in order to get your property back. And what are they going to do? They're going to sell that property at a foreclosure auction to recoup what you owe them. So that's just the foreclosure. It does have to do and is related to bankruptcy, because usually my bankruptcy clients are facing foreclosure, because that's one of the many creditors that they're facing. In a bankruptcy, that's a federal case, and what we are doing is we're petitioning a trustee or a judge to discharge or eliminate all of my debt. And that could include a mortgage, but it could also include personal loans, lawsuits. It could include my credit cards, medical debt. So unsecured debt, like what I just listed, like personal loans, credit cards, and medical debt, that's not secured by any asset, okay? So that I can eliminate with a secured loan, such as my property with a mortgage, okay? But the foreclosure case is like a state case, it's civil. Bankruptcy is a petition. No one's suing me. I'm petitioning to the judge to forgive my client's debts.
I want to ask you, a lot of people think bankruptcy is, I can't afford bankruptcy. I'm already behind on my bills. Do you guys put a flat fee? And is there a free consultation?
Bankruptcy law, what's good as an attorney for bankruptcy is that the federal law does not allow us to file your petition until our fees are paid in full.
Okay.
Most bankruptcy attorneys do charge a flat fee. Okay. We understand the position that our client is in, but we got to make our money too, right? We're exerting some work here. We do, for example, my office does offer payment plans.
Okay.
What's the advantage to that? What I tell my clients is, I understand you might not be able to pay my entire fee, but under federal law, and it's not my policy, I'm not making this up, I can't file your petition until you pay me in full. But what's good is if you do a payment plan, as soon as you make that first payment, we're your team, we're preparing your case, we've opened your case, and we're starting to prepare your petition. Another one is we're also looking at your bank statements. We're making sure that you're going to qualify, because a lot of people aren't really fully educated on the type of things that are frowned upon. So while they've already hired me, they're going to the casino, they're taking a cruise. People in bankruptcy can't do that. So I also act as their guidance. I guide them through the process as well.
Okay.
So flat fees, we can't file a petition until you pay in full, and we do offer payment plan.
Okay. Free consult or no?
Free consult, absolutely.
Free consult.
For bankruptcy, yeah.
For bankruptcy, okay. And so, I love that, because people are, I think a lot of people are ashamed of having this debt. And to me, I'm like, you got nothing to be ashamed of. 99% of the people in South Florida in particular don't have, they all have some kind of debt that they owe. Even if you own a house, you technically own a debt when you have a mortgage, right?
Exactly.
So, but they're behind on their bills, they're ashamed. What would you tell someone who's like, hey man, it's not that big a deal, I just won't pay it. I won't pay my credit card. I won't pay my car payment.
It's going to catch up to you eventually. And it gets worse. So something that I tell everyone is, don't wait until the last minute. Even if you're calling me for that free consultation, at least get educated on it. So if you foresee that in the next couple of months, things are going to get tight, you'll know what to expect. The worst thing is to ignore all of these creditors, even a simple credit card, and then they institute what's called a garnishment. And you're going to wake up one day and these funds are going to be frozen or taken out of your, Wells Fargo account or Bank of America account, or even worse. What I do find that people get really embarrassed of is when their employer has received a court order to garnish your wages. Like now they can't send you your paycheck. They have to send it over to the creditor to pay the debt. Yeah. And that garnishment, the amount that they're going to be taking from you, is usually higher than what your original debt was, because now they've added the attorney's fees and costs and the interest and penalties, okay? And if you got an attorney involved early, first of all, I could eliminate it in bankruptcy. And second, let's just say you don't qualify for a bankruptcy, I can do some sort of reduced payment. We could go to mediation. Usually in mediation, credit card companies do settle. They do settle for you for a reduced amount. But if you ignore it, it's going to be the full amount plus. So I think that's the worst case scenario for me.
Okay, got you. I love that. Last question. This is a fun one, okay?
All right.
We've been talking for a while. Any drink with any person, dead or alive, what drink would it be? Could be alcoholic, non-alcoholic. And dead or alive, any person. Could be somebody famous, could be somebody not well known, could be family member, whatever.
Yeah.
Who are you going with?
I would love to have a café con leche with my grandfather.
That's beautiful.
Yes, or a Coke. A Coke or a café con leche with my grandfather, my abuelo, would be a dream. That would be amazing. Yeah.
I love that. Can you tell me about him? He's from Cuba, obviously?
Yeah, Cuban, and he lived next to me my entire life. My parents bought the house. Well, my grandparents bought the house next to my parents' house, which is where I grew up.
Okay.
So I grew up with my grandparents next to me.
Oh, that's great.
And just my grandparents were like an everyday staple. They took care of me. They picked me up from cheerleading, from school. Back then, having your grandparents around was like not cool or whatever, and now I'm like, oh, I wish I had my grandfather Lincoln lawyering me around, driving me around. That would be epic. But yes, they were Cuban came over. My dad was 15. My aunt was younger, but they came over a little later because they didn't have like the money and the resources to come over right away when the whole revolution started. So they came over a little later, and just really hardworking people.
Wow.
You know, that's what I saw my entire life. Actually, to this day, when I'm like having a lazy day or I'm not feeling, you know, I'm like, my grandparents worked their asses off.
Yeah.
So those that's the inspiration for sure for me.
And I'm sure they'd be super proud of where you're at today and what you're doing, helping other people out. Start new, which is what they had to do coming here to the country, right?
They're definitely the reason that I like to help the Hispanic community out. You know, the people that are here from other countries, I definitely get that from them, for sure.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. How can people get a hold of you? How can people get a hold of you if they want to?
There are so many ways. So website right away is CristinaLaw.com. My phone number for the free consultations is 305-702-2797. And I'm on the socials, either in Spanish with Abogada Christina Ortiz or in English, Christina Ortiz, attorney. So look me up.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Awesome. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah.